Welcome back, episode 7 of Revisited. And what happened?
Life happens.
No. We said every 5 videos, part
Life
5.
happens.
And then the literal, the same week we put the first episode out of the last episode, it was just like, the Christmas part 5 video that I was making, it's not coming out on Christmas anymore. Here you go.
And it's just so fun to talk about part 5. That's
Is
all.
it?
Yeah, I have fun. I have a lot of fun.
We have both screamed about part 5.
Yeah.
So, third video on SuperEyePatchWolf. Even though it's technically 2, that DBZ one shouldn't have really happened, but it is what it is. Third one on SuperEyePatchWolf. Why you should watch part 5, Golden Win. There's nothing to say. There's nothing to say.
It's a JoJo part.
It's another part 5 video. Let's just get started. It's not even what's there to say?
I said it before, and I'll say it again. If you ever do a video for part 5, I will achieve heaven.
Who else is here to wait for why you should watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5 Golden Wind?
Why do we have to be told we should watch it? If you watched up to part 4, you're already in.
Yeah, if you watched up to part 4, you're already in. And nobody's stopping at part 6 and just like, that's it for JoJo's. Clean my hands of that series. But I think it's because people like to feel validated by their YouTuber. Or even by other people. And it's like, oh, this is why you should watch part 5. Yes.
Yeah, and I already did.
But then they could show other people, their friends or whatever, like, this is why
this is
you
going to spoil a lot.
It absolutely is. No, if he talks about the themes and the way it plays into... Dude, you could raise your head now. You already know themes are going to be part of this.
JoJo's Part 5.
Waiting for the why you should watch JoJo's Part 5.
Where the heck is the Part 5 video?
Maybe you should do your job as
waiting
an
for why you should watch JoJo's Bizarre
instead of
Adventure
doing
Part
videos
5. We
about
are
Halloween,
always
the scary one.
Frankly,
And
if
if we can
anyone cares
give
about
it to
those
us
things.
right.
Dude, part 5 is this beloved?
Yes, I've told you so many times.
I don't...
This is the problem. The fans. These people. Why should you have to be told for 30 minutes, here's why you should like this part that you like? Like it or no?
They need validation of why to like
I
it.
don't care.
Because it's not a great part. And I am not midway through part 8, a little bit before midway through part 8. It's still the worst JoJo part, by far.
Did you get past Born This Way?
What's more this way?
The motorcycle?
Yep.
Did you see the little kid with Giorno's giant butt? I'm sitting there like, is that something or no, Rocky? You don't just do that.
I actually have a theory into Giorno on that one.
Now.
No. Okay, fine. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure started off life as a story about a strapping young lad and his quest to defeat his evil vampire brother through the use of magical sunshine karate. It was a fun, weird power fantasy brimming with the eccentricities of its author, Hirohiko Araki, coupled with the man's genuine earnestness for heartfelt storytelling. And since then has evolved over multiple successive parts, all of which I have already done a video on, and if you are starting on this one with no knowledge of JoJo, sure, you do you, buddy. But what's been so interesting about making this series is watching...
You were right.
So he's already made 4 separate parts. This intro is, I'm pretty sure he said that in the other parts, eccentricity of Araki and all that. So he's basically either just repeating or reiterating stuff.
I would have, there's no problem with reiterating it, especially if someone isn't a fan of those other parts. And like, my favorite part is part 5. Let me hear what this guy has to say about it.
But that's fine. But the whole Araki is heartfelt moments and eccentricities that had to be already said. So why should you say it already in this beginning of this?
But
video?
again, if someone's only watching this part 5 video and they never watched the other 4 part, why you should watch?
Why aren't you?
maybe you like part 5 so much that this is the only thing you care about. And it's clear people love part 5.
Then why are
no
you-
one's going,
Why do you need to be validated?
because the part isn't good.
No, but what if you think the part is good?
Because deep down you don't. I don't know.
No, there's no reason to I don't like watching videos where people just go, yep, this is good and this is how I think about it.
Dude.
This is how I feel. I hate videos like that because it's just like, yep, there's nothing to think about. There's nothing to talk about unless you, like, I guess you could dive deeper into it with themes and crap like that. You go, ooh, I can appreciate it further. But that's not your thoughts. Somebody else is subplanting thoughts into your mind and going, this is what I believe this party is. And you can believe it if you don't. And then it's just like, I'm not seeing it the way that I see it. I'm seeing it the way that he's telling me to see it.
But if they tell you the way that they see it, they don't even tell you this is why you should. Well, some people don't. If they're saying that this is the way that I see it, and you're like, wow, I can see it that way too, it just becomes yours. There's no issue with that. Like, if I tell somebody something, even just in a debate, and I tell somebody something, it's like, I never thought of it that way. It's no problem for them to go, okay, now I think about it this way. So I don't see an issue with, a YouTuber telling you something.
No,
you're like,
but that's a debate. You're on a different mindset. And
I
this is a
but
similar
again,
mindset that they're just...
Again, it's like Revelations in One Piece. I never thought about such and such and such and such and such, but I look at it and I'm like, wow, now I think about it this way. I don't think that's inherently a negative to just go, I as the YouTuber think such and such, and then a person goes, wow, I never thought of it that way. Now I think such and such.
But that's not your... My whole thing is that's not your mindset.
It becomes it though.
Yeah, but it's not yours inherently.
So what you're thinking is they're pretty much a blank slate, and then it's just like, this is the YouTuber what they think. Yes, I think such and such now too as well.
Because
also.
you could like the Blackbeard parallels between him and Luffy. I never thought about it until I thought about it. And it's just like, yeah, okay. But if somebody told me, hey, these are the parallels between Blackbeard and Luffy, I'd be like, it wouldn't be as, because I can't.
It wouldn't be as satisfying for you, but at the same time, you could either go, no, I don't believe that because of this, this, and this, or yes, I do believe that because of all the things you told me. Mm-hmm. Again, you're still thinking about it, so you're not just going, wow, you're correct. You still thought about it, like, that's wrong.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you say it's satisfying. I think that's the play that I'm thinking of it as, because instead of just being told this, I'm thinking about it. I'm making my own conclusions. Cause, Ocean is and
Natsukaku.
No, yeah, him. They both had two radically different, like the eyes open to fate and fate doesn't. Those are two, and they're two separate. It's very hard to explain
it. Let's just go.
Araki's approach to storytelling changed with each successive part, so much so that by part 5, Golden wins, things have changed a lot. Part 5 is unusual in a lot of ways. While the story of the majority of the first 6 JoJo parts all directly feed into the part that follows, part 5 is far more isolated, with the events of the story existing as a kind of splinter arc from part 3, drawing only minimally from the events of part 4 and having little if any repercussions on the story of part 6. But
I hate that.
What?
I don't like that.
That is
it's just
the
this
side
little thing, and Giorno was brought up in the corner of a chapter of part 6, and that's it. And a little kid in part 8. I don't like that. I like the fact that it was just like part 1, 2, 3 is the beginning, the Dio arc. Part 3, 4, 5, 6 are the children of the first 3 parts, and then 7, 8, 9 is the new universe. Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. Put Gio, he's just off in his own little universe, not affecting anybody, not
being affected by anybody.
You got the little Koichi, you got the Jotaro thing, and that's about it. I never liked that.
Also, one of my personal favorites, featuring some of the most compelling characters.
Oh. Eye patch, no. Even in JoJo, there is... outside of maybe Bruno, there is no top 5 JoJo character in part 5.
Yeah, If I was making like a personal list of I like these characters, not like best, provable, definitive, objective sort of thing.
There would even be a top 10 part 5 person for me if it was like, because I would have to look at the people they fought too, and it's just like, oh no, you're not.
I'd put either Narancia or Trish in my favorite, not best but favorite.
I can see Trish.
I love both of them so much.
The only thing I don't like about Narancia is the way he died.
Yeah, but you gotta take that away from it.
If you're taking things away, it's kind of disingenuous. So I just gotta go.
Yeah, the good parts outweigh that.
Mm-hmm.
Battles and themes of the entire series thus far. And to explain why that is, we are of course going to start with our brand new JoJo, Giorno.
Journal.
Journal.
That was not a good pronunciation of that name. I hope he doesn't continue with that.
Giovanna. Giorno is a kind of black.
Okay. This is a valid criticism. That's not the way his name is said.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that name. I wonder if sometimes this is going into a whole conspiracy theory. I wonder if he actually doesn't write some of his scripts. Maybe he never actually seen JoJo Part 5, and he's going Giorno. You know what? Because it sounds like it's spelled the same way you would say DiGiorno.
You know what? But then,
and he's going Giorno.
I don't know. Maybe that's just the way he read it and pronounced it.
But he's going to the anime. And during the anime, you should have heard at least one person say Giorno.
But then you got people Diavolo.
But I think also in the anime, they're going to pronounce that weird ways. Just like Narancia. They call him Narancia, and then two characters on the side go Narancia.
I'm sure somebody said journal.
I'm
sure somebody said journal.
96% positive there is not a person in the world before or after iPatchWolf that said Giorno.
Giorno is a kind of black sheep of the Joestar family. Simultaneously, both the son of Jonathan Joestar and mortal enemy Dio Brando.
No, he's not. It's almost entirely Jonathan's DNA. He's got the blood, but the sperm, all that's Jonathan. There's almost nothing. I don't know exactly how physiologically that could have worked, but I gotta assume it's like 5% Dio, if that.
He's probably gonna get into the duality of the characters.
Because
why was this not present in part 6 with Dio's 4 sons? Why were they just bad people?
Because we can't think about that. There's no themes in that. They were just villains to be defeated.
Weird. The most defining character trait of Giorno is how he's like a combination of these two opposing characters.
Oh my god, I'm so sick of this.
Josuke, part 4, super righteous. This is the thing. There's 2 other characters that you can point to with duality, just like Giorno. And it's more prevalent on one side than the other for both. Josuke is super righteous, but he has malice tendencies when he traps a man in a rock forever and he traps a man in a book forever. And then you look at Jolene, who has more malice tendencies, but also has righteousness. Like when the dude was like, I'm really sorry that I sold you out. I really do love you. And they're listening on to the call. Like, I don't know where she's at. I don't give a rip that tongue out.
He's still a piece of rip it out. And then they just move along.
Just keep it moving. So she's way more malice than righteous.
And here's the other thing. They also have other personality traits.
Giorno is almost directly in the middle because he's nothing. He is a complete balance of a character because he's not very good and he's not very bad. He is just a nothing middle character. What are we doing?
Like Jonathan, he's capable of incredible kindness and empathy.
all JoJos are like this.
Seriously?
And then you're gonna go into the like Dio, but all JoJos are like that.
Jotaro, he's like, you bit of a mom, and then the next day he's just like, you looking kind of pale. Are you getting enough sleep? Come on now.
An empathy that's manifested itself in his power to imbue life to inanimate objects. And also, like Jonathan, is a firm believer in justice and good.
No, he's not. That's just a lie. He doesn't give a about justice and good. He just wants no drugs. He loves being a gangster. He loves scamming people in taxis.
Scamming people.
He loves thievery and being a gangster. He just doesn't like the drug because his father was on drugs and beat him.
And again, these are not traits unique to him.
Bruno is the exact same over there,
But no, ain't nobody talking about Bruno.
but way better over there.
Ain't nobody talking about Bruno. All of them have a great sense of justice. Maybe not Johnny. Maybe.
Yeah, no, Johnny's pretty selfish.
But that's about it. Once you start getting into part 8, that dude goes nuts so cuckoo with oh boy.
Causing him to set out on his quest to become a gang star and rid the
What the? How is this possible? Dude, we just heard the gang star thing last time.
Yeah. He wants to be a gang star. That's his mission. He wants to immediately become the boss and rid the world of drugs in a week.
streets
And
of
he did.
And he did. Mission accomplished.
and rid the streets of Italy of its insidious drug trade. But that gentle kindness is also streaked with something much darker. In the face of those he considers evil, that kind empathy will give way to a frigid malice. Unlike previous protagonists, Giorno has no desire to understand or befriend his opponents, nor any...
Pause. He showed Jonathan.
Yeah.
He befriended Tarkus or Bruford, whichever one with the hair. That's why he gave him the sword of luck and pluck.
But what he's saying is that Giorno does not look to befriend these people.
Oh, okay.
Except Bruno.
Except Jotaro?
No. He befriended Bruno.
Oh,
Gio befriended Bruno.
Yeah.
He
But
goes,
no.
trust me.
No.
Gonna...
He was just like, oh, you're a good person deep down.
And then he goes, trust me. Join up with me. I'm going to become a great mafioso.
He's a good person.
He also doesn't have he's also not basically in this journey by himself. Actually, Josuke never sought to seek friendship from the people he was fighting.
Okuyasu just sort of showed up at his door.
Yeah. Okuyasu was just like, we're friends now. He was like, I'm not gonna kill you. This isn't your fault. I'm gonna save you, but I'm gonna keep going. I have no interest in you over there. And then Okuyasu just showed up. He was like, okay, cool.
He wasn't friends with Yukako. They were just sort of... He hates Rohan. They said it several times.
He never sought to seek friendships from these people. The people that actually fought him. So, just in the previous part, I don't know if Jolene did. I know she put one person under her, but that wasn't really friendship.
Yeah, it was basically just Foo Fighters. A trait unique to Journal.
Journey.
reservation
Journey to the
about
west.
killing his enemies, even treating them with a sadistic brutality. And it's in these moments that Giorno's calm, righteous demeanor subside, and we see the traces of Dio that float beneath. It's
hate
that
it. I
duality
hate
combined
that.
with his calm, reserved nature that make Giorno an unusual member of the Joestar family. And making him even more unusual is his design. While previous JoJo's protagonists were walking, talking brick shithouses, Giorno's features
No, not
Josuke
Josuke.
definitely wasn't.
At least not in like a quarter of the way through part 4 where his design changed, and if you're just looking at the anime, he's just a dude.
Yeah, just a regular, strong
but
street
I
dude.
see that you left that out because he has a huge pompadour and a bunch of giant buttons, as opposed to just this donut head and a purple suit. I hate the purple suit. The black one that he wore in the end was a lot better. The game version where he's wearing blue, a lot better. I don't like the purple.
Why not? It's fine.
Soft and slender, he has these delicate coifs of curled hair, and from his effeminate pink clothing to his fragile looking stand, everything about his appearance goes against that of his hyper-masculine, power-driven predecessors.
Except Josuke.
And if you, Jotaro, that was his whole thing.
Yeah, he big hawking dude.
He big hawking dude. Same thing with Jonathan. He's a big hawking dude, but he's got a heart of gold. He's a nice person. So it's not, if you look straight through, you can see Josuke just breaks it down. And then even in part 4, Jotaro slimmed down a whole lot.
That's because of Araki style.
Because of Araki style, and it's not because of he's a unique character or whatever. No, his art style just changed.
Giorno's place within his own story seems less significant, with him often taking a backseat to the supporting characters, and you can expect
She's in the back seat, you see.
That was the joke.
Giorno had 2 fights by himself in the entirety of part 5.
2? Oh yeah, no.
Babyface and Chocolata.
I thought that was with Mista, or somebody was
I guess
there.
he was with Mista.
Yeah.
He had 1 fight by himself. Cause that's his role. He's nothing.
He's a whisper in the back of your mind. Why are some of y'all pruning up?
You need some healing? Here you go. At any point in time, you got a bullet straight to your head. Oh, it's already healed. Don't worry about that. Question mark. I will never understand that.
especially see this in the fights of part 5, with other characters even commenting on Gold Experience's lack of direct physical strength. Instead, Giorno tends to take up more supportive roles in battle, either augmenting the abilities of his allies, taking action that will increase their morale, or healing their wounds. Although technically he's not actually healing them, he's taking objects he finds lying around, turning them into replacement organs and stuffing them inside his friends. Part 5's really weird. And to show you what I mean,
No, it's not. Part 5 is not weird. Part 8 is weird.
It is so good. And also, that's, again, he's just, you got a hole in you. I'm just going to fill it up. You got a hole in your liver, so I need to fill up the back part of you, the liver, the blood, and the skin. Here you
and
go.
the nerves.
Hey, here you go. No problem. There is zero issue in this. He doesn't have to understand anything. He just has to go, okay, here's a rock and body part. Why? And apparently there's no, as soon as you get it, it's just there forever. He could be a mile away and it won't dissipate. It's just there forever. Bruno, in the first fight that he had with Gio, which is a one-on-one fight, so we're back up to 2 fights.
Okay, yep.
So in his first fight with Gio, he's right at the very end. He's about to punch him. He's like, "Oh no, I'm about to get punched to death." And Gio walks right by him, and he goes, "Oh, he's walking out of my range." And then the zippers start disappearing. So the zippers have a range, but then again, maybe they don't because the zippers stayed for Popo's money.
Yeah.
So I guess they don't, unless. That's just one of those Araki things where he's just like, I'm still kind of figuring out the stance. Chill out, y'all.
Oh, okay. Wait, hold on. Maybe if it's open, it has a range.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it's got a range, and then it just closes up.
Okay, I can dig that. But Trish, you can still see the zip on her hand.
But it was mostly closed, and she was still in range.
No, the zipper, she had her hand reattached, and you could still see it, the zipper, but you couldn't see the zipper on the toilet.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Maybe it was a whatever.
We in part 5, hey baby, we part 5.
here, let's take a little look at the number of battles each JoJo wins in their respective parts. But first, to keep things tidy, here's some qualifiers. 1. Fights have to be actual fights with momentum swinging back and forth, as opposed to a straight up beating. So Jonathan stomping a bunch of thugs in an alley does not count. 2.
He got his arms ripped up.
That's not one-on-one anyway. So that doesn't even qualify.
I'm only counting fights without significant involvement from any ally of the protagonist. And 3, the victory must be decisive with zero ambiguity, i.e. one party must be incapacitated by its end. And if we take those factors into account, it looks like this. Jonathan wins 7 fights, Joseph wins 5, Jotaro wins 11, Josuke wins 6, and do you know how many Giorno wins? 1, a single fight against the automatic stand user Babyface.
2, Bruno,
yeah.
Also,
11 seems an awful lot for Jotaro.
with no help from
With
allies.
no help from allies?
Cause it couldn't be the blind dude, cause he had help from Iggy. It couldn't
Strength.
be either
No.
one of the Darby brothers.
Okay. Kakyoin.
Blue Moon. We're actually I'm about to look up I'm about to look it up.
We're up to like 6, maybe 7.
Yeah, we just I'm cutting out all the dead air we had before when we were just searching this. We're looking at about 7 for Jotaro.
User Babyface in episode 22. You could stretch it to 2 if you want to count Luca in that, but that guy's special ability is that he owns a shovel and he's more a speed bump than an actual opponent. And what I think is interesting about this is you can see a distinct shift in how Araki uses his protagonists. Jotaro was the
No. It's
How is that? That's
fluctuating.
not a distinct shift. It's not like it's going up until Jotaro and then shoots down. No.
It's above average, below average, way above average, average, way below average. What is the shift?
And then if you're going, oh, there's another shift. What about Jolene? Jolene was wrecking fools.
Dude, she had to.
She's so great.
Her number's probably like 40.
So where does that fit into this calculation?
center of his own universe, the ultra-powerful, invincible badass who is the solution to everyone's problems.
No,
But
no,
that-
what? Like Geo? Why are y'all getting old? You know what? Literally no one thought of that. We've been
Fugo.
encountering stands for all this time, and literally nobody went, hey, this is a freaky stand ability. Let's think about this. But this dude who's had his power for a month, they said this for a month went, yo, stop and think about this, genius. Stop and think about this, brilliant leader. The center of everything. Jotaro ain't the center of nobody universe.
That approach softened significantly in Part 4 with the comparatively less powerful Josuke and its increased focus on its supporting cast. With that
Amazing.
concept being taken to a logical extreme in Part 5.
How's that the logical extreme? And who cares if... Okay, so it was way up and then it steadily decreased and then Part 6 it jumps way back up.
And it's not the logical extreme because it's basically what happened in Part 3. But for some reason, everybody had their own little fights in Part 3. But somehow 11 comes up when it totally wasn't. Everybody had their own little fights. The whole thing was people are branching off from Geo. Cause he boring. How can you make fights interesting with him? When again, throw a rock and turn it into an elephant crush person.
Is not the center of the universe in this story and is far from the invincible badass that Jotaro was. And
Are you serious? First off, everyone turns their head and goes, wow, Geo is awesome. Wow, he's giving everybody morale and resolve and all this extra stuff. So how is he not the center of the universe? And then any problems they have, he fixes. And he's invincible.
Everyone has a big moment with Geo where they just go, yup, Geo though. we don't get to see that with Bruno except for them in the past, but everything else is just like, yep, blind leadership, it's just leadership following Bruno. But here we get to see them just going, Gio's that dude.
Because of all these factors, I think Giorno lacks some of the immediate appeal of his predecessors. In fact, in a poll I put...
No, I immediately liked Josuke, and I immediately liked Josuke.
I am a big fan of dorks. Jonathan is a dork, and he saved Irina. He went, I didn't save you because I wanted to or because you're a girly thing. I saved you because I'm a gentleman, and that is what gentlemen do. And I went, I like you. There's your character, there's your stance, there's your morale, there's everything I need to know about you right then and there. You're a gentleman, you're gonna do gentlemanly things.
It took me forever to feel any type of way about Jonathan. I mean, not Jonathan, Joseph.
Yeah.
It took me forever to be like, whether I like him or dislike him. Jotaro, That's my mindset with Jotaro.
In part 3. I like him in part 4, and I love him in part 6.
Immediately liked both Josuke's. Gio, I liked when Gio, because this is the thing. I am way behind 2 of my brothers when it comes to part 5. When it comes to JoJo's in general. And they were like, part 5's terrible, blah, blah, blah. And Gio's the worst. And I'm reading it, and I'm like, wow, I like Gio. I don't know what they're talking about.
Before the group was fine. It was good.
I was enjoying him. And then he joins the group, and he takes such a backseat personality and activism-wise, where I'm just like, this is terrible. So I immediately liked Gio, and then they made me stop liking Gio. So you can stop with this immediate appeal thing, because he immediately appealed to me, and then I disliked him vehemently.
Up on Twitter, out of nearly 11...
Again, what's his character outside of him being half Dio, half Jonathan? We know that Josuke likes shoes. He's selfish, but he's also super good. He could use his ability to do whatever he wanted. He could get a whole bunch of money, but he's just like, hey, let's just collect change in these tickets that nobody's using and nobody wants. We know that. We know that Jotaro was a good boy and then he turned into a bad boy, but he still got that within him. We know that he does dumb party tricks with a bunch of smoked cigarettes in his mouth. We know a lot about these characters. What do we know about Gio?
Outside of his dream.
Outside of him being half malice and half super righteous. What's his personality? What does he like? What does he dislike? So that's why I personally do not attach to him. Relatability. I don't care about.
What is
those
there
sorts
to
of things.
attach?
What is there to attach to? He's not a character. He's a theme, like he said. There's nothing to this character but just these 2 things. I don't know anything about this character, so he's just a walking ability, and I can't. That's Dragon Ball, and I want
outside of his ability. What can you possibly like about him?
He is personalityless.
A poll I put up on Twitter, out of nearly 11,000 votes, Giorno was voted the least popular JoJo out of parts 2 to 5, with only 13% of the votes, despite part 5 being voted the second most popular part in a previous poll.
Because part 1 is it's set up. Part 2 is more set up, but at least it's bigger battles. Part 3, he's just getting his feet wet with stand
ability.
So you got a lot of stupidity there and just not great fights. And then the characters suck too. So there's nothing there for part 3. That's why it's the worst out of that poll. Mm-hmm. And then you look at part 4, everything comes to a head. They want everything. And then part 5.
In a previous poll. Now granted, 11,000 people is a relatively small sample size compared to the JoJo fanbase as a whole, and the only people who voted would have been the kind of person who follows me on Twitter, meaning they were all cool and beautiful, but it did give some weight to something I've experienced only anecdotally up until this point, and that is that people tend to be more dismissive towards Giorno as a main character than they do the other JoJos.
Absolutely.
And on the surface...
Why wouldn't you be?
Why wouldn't you be?
And on this,
And on the surface, I get it. He's not as entertaining as Joseph, as badass as Jotaro, or as fun as Josuke. But I also
Paul, where was Jonathan? Why not mention Jonathan?
because he probably doesn't like Jonathan. And a lot of people don't like Jonathan. You know a lot of people don't like Jonathan.
A lot of people suck. A lot of people are wrong.
A lot of people, he's Superman.
He's a dork.
He's a dork.
Look at
He's
those-
a righteous, gentlemanly dork.
He's just going into battle with this big dumb freaking multicolored vest and bow tie and this big dumb dapper hat. He's a dork.
That people don't want that. They want fun. They want cool. They want awesome. He's not those things. He's not cool.
Is Journal any of those things?
He's cool.
Sure.
think looking at Journal like this kind of misses the point of his character, and in a larger sense, Part 5 in general. Journal is not written to exist in isolation, but as part of a larger whole. And by giving him a calmer, more subtle nature, reducing both his power and his importance within the story, what it does is...
Josuke is calmer in Part 8 than a lot of the bombastic characters of the other parts.
Johnny is calmer in Part 7. Jotaro got angry, like 3 times?
What's the difference?
Jonathan's super calm.
Except
Why-
these are characters.
Why does he have to exist as a whole as opposed to as a character in his own story? Why do we always have to put an asterisk for Journal? Why? I'm sick of it.
nature, reducing both his power and his importance within the story.
He was. His power isn't reduced. He can create life from anything. Not living. And then he has a bunch of other abilities.
And then that power gets upgraded.
And then it gets up. His power isn't reduced unless you're talking about his punch power. In which case, who cares? Because the people that he punches, they go down and they stay down. So what's the difference between that and Jotaro?
How many people did Josuke punch into submission? Just like, I am overwhelming you with power.
At a certain point, it gets past the power thing and it gets into the thinky thing. And when you're Journal, you don't have to think about anything because you can make anything out of any non-living thing. So the thought processes go down to, let me just make anything. What in this infinite possibility can I make? As opposed to
win this fight.
I can punch fast. How am I going to get in and punch fast?
It was the supporting cast to step forward and take up those roles, and that's important.
No.
The immensely less powerful and more interested and more limited characters? Absolutely. This man got a zipper and he's using the zipper to swerve cars and crap. That's fantastic.
Only like 2 or 3 characters step up in that Geo role, or the role that Geo should have. To say it lets the supporting character step up. Half of them ain't douche. Half of them was still nothing.
Nanache got 2 fights. Polnareff got like 8 fights. And then you look at Geo, who's, I turned my ladybug, I imbued it with the DNA of the turtle, and then that DNA also has the stand of the turtle, and that saved your life. Why didn't you do that a lot more? See, stuff like that, it's the randomness factor. Here, take my ladybug. It can turn into anything now. Now we're just going like, what's that ladybug gonna turn into? I hate it.
It's because Part 5 isn't a narrative about any one singular character, but a story of relationships. Think about this.
Pause.
The cast of
This is an entirely different take than everyone else.
Hey, that's good.
Why are people taking so much from this nothing part?
Because they gotta fit in a way that is good.
Dude, you can say Part 4 was about relationships.
Oh, yeah. enemies becoming friends, the friendship of a weak dude and a strong dude.
Okuyasu and his brother and the revenge there.
And their father, what they want to do there. Yukako and Koichi, an actual relationship. Rohan, the relationship of the fanboys. The relationship of the alien and Josuke, that like symbiotic thing.
What? So why are we just saying part 5 is just this?
Were all tied together by their mutual goal of destroying Dio. The cast of Part 4 by their proximity of living in the town of Morio.
And
so,
wanting to stop
Kira,
the serial killer, plaguing their town where one of their friend and or family could be next to be murdered.
And it doesn't matter that they're in close proximity. Stand users always attract other stand users. So even if they were in an entire country, somehow stand users are going to attract each other. That's a rule in JoJo. So it doesn't matter that they're all in this town, because even when Josuke gets his ability or shows off his ability, it's not like a day later 8 people pop up. It still takes time for everyone to start meeting each other. And the only reason these people are together is because they were stuck together. Giorno walked into a situation where we already have 5 characters. And only one more joins.
Question is, what is it that ties the cast of Part 5 together? And to begin to answer,
They're all gang members
Following orders.
following orders. That's what ties them together. What ties Gio and Bruno? The want for no more drugs. And then the rest of them go, oh, we're going after the boss. I will trust you, Bruno, except Fugo.
That punk Fugo!
let's take a little trip into Giorno's past. Estranged from his father Dio, Giorno's mother was forced to raise him by herself, but unwilling to give up her youth, she often abandoned Giorno for long stretches of time, leaving the little boy alone, isolated and uncared for, and would eventually even bring a violent stepfather into their home, trapping Giorno in a childhood of loneliness, isolation and abuse, until one fateful day when a chance encounter with a member of an organized crime syndicate results in the mysterious man becoming Giorno's watchful guardian angel, whose unspoken care would pull Giorno from his isolated existence, giving him the strength to grow and become a stronger, better person. This story is not unique to Giorno, but a thread that runs through the lives of each of the supporting cast. Mista, Abbacchio, Narancia, and Fugo are all
Narancia?
Sure. That's a valid criticism.
I have never thought of Mista's name as anything but Mista. Why do we have 2 people that did part 5 videos saying Mista?
It's fine. It's filtered through the Japanese lens into Italian into English. It's fine.
all characters who have in some way been abandoned and betrayed by the world around them. From Fugo suffering sexual abuse at the hands of his college professor, to Abbacchio being forced out of the police force in disgrace, to Mista's
No, that was his choice. He chose to take that bribe.
Yes.
Mista killed a bunch of people. Even though it was in self-defense, he still did it. That's not a betrayal. That's a consequence of his actions.
People had actions and they had consequences. Fugo got literally and figuratively. Giorno got
Bruno
got the rest. Narancia was just thrown out on the street. And then he met an even better family.
imprisonment over a false self-defense charge.
It's not false. He killed people.
He killed a bunch of people.
How is it false?
He's not getting off.
He's not getting off on that. You can say it was a self-defense, but he walked up, took a gun, and shot people. As far as the cops see, he has no defensive wounds on him. So how can he plead that he was defending himself when there's nothing around to go, I was defending myself?
And if you take a look at it, you go, 4 people, they were all shooting at me, but I have no bullet wounds in me at all. They all missed. And then I just shot all of them.
No, I took one of their guns and shot all of them.
That makes sense.
You think a judge is going to look at that and go,
How did every single bullet miss you? And then you shot 4 bullets perfectly and killed 4 people, sir.
what happened there?
What's the sequence of events? Tell me. Well, there was the lady what was getting beat.
Where's she at?
Well, we'll get back to that, Your Honor. But then they just started capping at me. It had to be 16 bullets at least.
I was standing still. They all missed. And then I calmly walked up, took one of their guns, and shot them.
Calmly reloaded the gun
As
as
they
they were firing. 3 other people. And that one guy, he could have gotten up and just started punching me, but he just didn't. And then I just calmly shot all of them, including the guy that I punched who was down on the ground, defenseless. So, so the door's that way. I gotta sign anything. I left some water boiling at home. I didn't think it would take this long.
Am I gonna have some legal fees, or I don't know the procedure here.
Is their family gonna pay me or something? I'm emotionally distressed.
Sir,
What handcuffs?
You're going to jail for a long time. You murdered 4 people.